Okay, so we are going to discuss a tutorial question on chapter 6 on circulatory system. So we are going to discuss on part A, multiple choice question. It consists of 30 plus question, okay, 32 questions. So I hope that we can cover the question today in this session. So for today's session, we are going to go from the top of the list. Okay, so can the person read the question, give us the answer, and explain a bit why you choose that answer? So Afrina, please.
Plasma is one of the components of vertebrate blood, which of its components regulate the permeability of cell membranes. My answer is D, inorganic salts, because the function is for osmotic balance, pH buffering and regulation, and regulate the permeability of cell membrane. For hormone, it's signaling molecules that are transport to their target cell. For fibrinogen, it gives rise to fibrin, which is promotes clotting, and apolipoprotein for lipid transport.
Okay, regulates permeability of cell membrane is inorganic salt lah. Okay. Contoh inorganic salt, apa dia? They are basically ions kan, Na plus, K plus, macam kita tengok in the transmission of impulse, okay, through the membranes of axon kan, dia keluar masuk. So regulate the permeability of cell membrane. And then furthermore, plasma is a portion of the blood. Okay, it consists of how many percent? 55%, and the 45% it consists of what? Cellular elements. Okay, the cellular elements are the white blood cell, red blood cells, and also platelets. Okay, so basically semua ni adalah component of plasma. Cuma you have to choose which involve in regulating the permeability of cell membrane. Okay, so thank you Afrina. Second question. Okay, second question ni, Muiz, would you like to have an attempt to answer this question? Hello? Okay.
Saya cuba ya.
Hmm.
This type of granulocyte, which is found in the lowest percentage in blood, is shown in figure 1. Which of the following is true about this granulocyte? My answer is B.
B.
Develop the macrophage.
Develop into macrophage. Okay, kalau kita tengok, kita dah belajar itu kan, jenis-jenis blood cells. Okay, kita ada red blood cells obviously to involve in the transportation of nutrients and also respiratory gas, and then kita ada white blood cells which involve in cell immunity, okay, cell defense. So white blood cells ni kita bahagikan dia kepada dua jenis. Sama ada yang granulocyte. Granule tu macam inilah yang you see inside the cell, the small tiny little vesicle. Okay, that is granulocyte. So another type of white blood cell is agranulocyte. Kita dah tengok dah dalam chapter cell ni sebenarnya. Okay, white blood cells ni. Okay. If it's in the notes, tak ada ke? Tak apalah, okay. Okay, so these are the different types of white blood cells. So you can differentiate the white blood cell based on the shape of the nucleus and also the presence of the granulocytes, granules inside the cell. So the presence of granules, we call it as agranulocyte. Without the presence of granules, it is agranulocyte. Okay, so agranulocyte, dia ada dua je kat sini, which is lymphocyte and also monocyte. Monocyte, it will develop into macrophage. Okay, macrophage, which the function of this cell is to engulf pathogen in the mechanism of defense, body defense. Okay, engulf the pathogen that it come across, okay, with. So okay, so sel yang ada granules ni, okay, sel yang ada granules ni macam contohnya basophil, you can see clearly the presence of the granules. Okay, so neutrophil also, if I'm not mistaken, it also contains granules. So that's the eosinophil. Okay, so nanti bila kita belajar masa chapter immune, this cell it stores, okay, it will stores a chemical molecule. We call it as histamine. Okay, histamine that involved in one of the body defense mechanism. We call it as inflammatory response. Yang ini sebenarnya dia adalah gabungan chapter 6 dan chapter 7 soalan ni. Okay, chapter 6 dan chapter 7. You have to know the function of the white blood cells. Okay, in this case, by having the granules, it contains chemical molecule. We call it as histamine that involves in inflammatory response. The detailed explanation on the inflammatory response we are going to look at in chapter 7 later. Okay, so thank you, Muiz. So the next person can Aisha, please.
In a fish, blood passes through the heart once in each complete circuit. What does it indicate? My answer is D, 2 and 3, because a fish is a single circulation, not double circulation.
Okay. What does it indicate? Jawapan awak apa tadi?
D, 2 and 3.
2 and 3. Okay, kita tengok statement 2. This soalan, the question is on fish kan? So fish, as you know, it depends on single blood circulation. Okay, single blood circulation. So obviously kalau nombor 1 ni salah. Okay, second statement, the blood pressure normally drops as blood passes through the gills capillary. So the fish heart will pump the blood out into the gills, into the capillary of gills. So once the blood is out of the blood capillaries in the gills, so obviously the pressure of the blood will be reduced. Okay, the pressure of the blood will be reduced that needs to travel in the systemic circuit. So kalau kita tengok ni dalam ikan, okay, so kat sini ni kan, so dia ada dua set of capillaries, gill capillaries. So from heart into the gills, in the gills capillaries. Tapi bila darah keluar, darah akan keluar dengan blood pressure yang rendah that needs to travel in the body capillaries. Okay, so as blood travels in body capillaries, blood will travel with low blood pressure. Okay, possibly low blood velocity as well. So kalau kat situ kita tengok untuk statement yang ketiga, ini betul lah kan, blood pressure normally drops. Ni betul, as blood passes through the gills capillaries. Third, contraction and relaxation of muscle does not accelerate blood circulation. Ini salah ya. Sebab apa? Bila darah ikan tu dia nak pergi dekat blood capillaries, obviously blood pressure and blood velocity will be reduced. So to aid in the movement of the blood, it also depends on the swimming motion of the fish. Okay, so as fish swim, it says here contraction and relaxation of muscle helps accelerate the blood circulation actually. So kat soalan ni cakap does not, so salah lah. Faham? Boleh ya Aisyah? Okay, so the answer should be B. Okay. So thank you Aisyah. So next is Amira. Nadira, please.
Which of the following is correct during atrial and ventricular diastole of cardiac cycle? C. The atrial and ventricular muscle relax.
Relax. Okay. So, would you like to explain a bit?
Jawapan A tu salah sebab the AV valve are closed. Sepatutnya dia open waktu time tu. So jawapan B, the semilunar valve are open. Sepatutnya closed.
Okay. Okay so ini kalau kita tengok dalam cardiac cycle, it is stage yang keberapa? Atrial and ventricular diastole ni, stage yang keberapa? Cardiac cycle ada 3 stage kan? So, atrial and ventricular diastole is at which stage? First, second or third stage? Okay, ni ingat stage-stage ni. Stage yang pertama apa dia? Stage yang kedua apa dia? Stage yang ketiga apa dia?
Stage first.
The first stage kan. So the first stage involve the chamber of the heart, the atrium and also the ventricle, the two atrium and also the two ventricle to relax so that all the blood is collected in these 4 chambers of the heart. So obviously in order for the blood in the atrium to flow in the ventricle, obviously the AV valve has to be open. So salah lah kan. So sebab dia nak kumpul darah in ventricle as well, darah tak boleh nak keluar melalui the aorta and also pulmonary artery kan. So antara ventricle dengan the major blood vessels, aorta and also pulmonary artery ada semilunar valve. So semilunar valve kena closed kan, sebab dia nak kumpul darah in all these 4 chambers. So kena closed. Kalau tak, darah akan keluar daripada jantung, okay, melalui aorta and also pulmonary artery. Okay, so B salah. And then the atrial and ventricle muscle contract adalah stage yang mana? Stage yang berapa? Dia tak ada yang dua-dua contract dia tak ada dua-dua contract at the same time. Okay, kalau atrium contract mesti ventricle relax. Okay, kalau ventricle contract mesti atrial relax macam tu. Okay, so yang dia serentak relax adalah stage yang pertama. Okay, so you have to know these 3 stages of cardiac cycle, which all together it took about 0.8 second. Okay, 0.8 second. So ini memang statement D ni memang salah lah kan. Dia tak boleh both contract. Okay. So thank you Amira. Number 6. Ayu Zahira please.
Cardiac output is used to measure my answer is C, volume of blood pumped by each ventricle per minute. B is, the answer for B is wrong. The answer for A is the definition for heart rate. The answer for D is wrong because it is a definition for stroke volume.
Ya ke? Atrium tu kan? So memang statement tu salah, tak ada kaitan pun. Kan? So sebab dia state kat situ atrium. Tapi kalau dia tukar kepada ventricle, then baru dia adalah stroke volume. Okay? So jawapan yang C tu macam awak cakap betul lah. Volume of volume of blood pumped by each ventricle for 1 minute. So total volume berapa? Average. It is 5 liter. Kan? 5 liter per minute. Volume of blood pumped by a ventricle in a single contraction. Ini baru. Ini salah ni. Ini statement B memang macam salah lah statement dia. Yang ini baru stroke volume. Kan? Volume of blood pumped by ventricle in a single contraction. That is stroke volume. Stroke volume berapa value dia?
70 milliliter per beat.
For question 6, which of the following is not a component of plasma protein? My answer is A, platelet, because the plasma protein contain albumin, fibrinogen, lipoprotein. Selain erythrocyte, leukocyte dengan platelet.
Okay. Which of the okay. Kat sini, okay, which of the following is not a component of plasma protein? So your blood, when you centrifuge your blood, okay, it will divide, it will separate the blood into two portion. Portion dia apa tadi? What are the portion when you have your blood sample and then you centrifuge at high speed? Okay, it separates the blood into separate components according to the density of that component. So kalau yang bahagian bawah ni, apa dia? Kalau bahagian atas ni, apa dia?
Atas plasma, bawah cell-based component.
Sel apa tadi? Sel disk?
Cell-based component. Blood.
Cellular elements, is it? Kan, cellular elements. So, plasma is 55%, okay? And then the cellular elements is 45%, okay? So, platelet is in which part? Cellular elements. So, cellular elements, apart from it contain platelet, it also contain what? Selain dia ada platelet, dia ada juga apa?
Erythrocyte dengan leukocyte.
So, dia ada red blood cell dan juga white blood cell. Erythrocyte and leukocytes. Okay. So, albumin, fibrinogen and lipoproteins are contained in the plasma portion. The majority component of the plasma, it contains water. Excuse me, jap Okay, so that's the component of blood. Okay. Okay, so thank you, Afika. Number 7, Razin, please. Okay, so sorry, mute. Okay, so that's was the component of the blood, okay, of the blood, which consists of plasma and also cellular elements. Okay, so thank you, Afika. Next is Razin, please. Number 7.
Choose the correct answers in animal below. And the answer is C. Frogs is 3, fish 2, bird 4.
Frogs 3 tu apa?
Frogs have
Apa? 3 chambers,
2
1
atria and 1 ventricle.
Okay. And then 2 atria, 1 ventricle, fishes.
Fish have it do single circulation. Bird has 2 atria and 2 ventricle.
Okay. Fish, what are the 2 chambers? 1?
Fish 1 atrium and ventricle.
1 atria and 1 atrium and 1 ventricle. Okay. So those are the chambers, okay, the heart chambers of these different animals. Okay, so for frogs, because it has 2 atria and 1 ventricle, it uses double circulation. Okay, double circulation. Fish, it uses single circulation of blood, and then birds, it uses double circulation of blood. For frogs, the double circulation that the frogs is adapted to is double circulation. The first pumping, okay, of the heart, the blood will flow into the pulmocutaneous circuit. Pulmocutaneous circuit is for exchange of respiratory gas. Tapi kenapa kita panggil sebagai pulmocutaneous circuit? Dia melibatkan apa? Pertukaran gas dekat mana? Razin? Kalau for frogs?
Lung and skin.
Lung and skin. Okay, so pulmocutaneous circuit, and then the blood will
Lung and skin.
Okay. And then blood will return back to the heart and then pump for the second time to enter into the systemic circuit. Tapi kalau fish, okay, fish will the heart will pump once, and then it enters into the capillary, the gills capillary, okay, for gaseous exchange, and then from the from the gills it enters into the systemic circuit. Okay, so for fish, the disadvantage of single circulation is that it reduces the blood velocity and also the blood pressure. Okay, so in order to aid in the movement of blood in the systemic circuit, so the swimming motion of the fish will help in the flow of blood, okay, in the systemic circuit, and then return back to the heart. Okay, so ikan kena bergerak lah, it has to swim. Okay, okay, so birds is double circulation lah kan. So bird first pumping of the heart is to the pulmonary circuit. Okay, birds are the lung, and then return back to the heart, and then to the and then the heart will pump the blood into the systemic circuit. Okay. Okay, so thank you, Razin. Number 8. Okay, number 8, Shamil.
Which of the following statements describe the similarity between artery, vein, and capillary? My answer is A. Central lumen lined with an endothelium.
Yeah.
Ini saya tak
Okay.
sure yang ada sebab saya tak ambil C sebab valve tak dot, lepas tu dengan capillary tak dot valve. Valve dekat artery dengan capillary tak ada. Lepas tu D tu ada yang diameter lumen dia yang besar. Tapi B tu saya tak sure macam.
Okay, kalau D tu, small diameter of lumen to maintain blood pressure, this is specifically referring to which blood vessels? Artery, vein or capillaries? Number D tu. Yang D tu. Dia statement untuk artery ke, vein ke, capillary?
Artery.
Okay. So dia tak match untuk ketiga lah kan. Kalau B, connective tissues from the tunica adventitia, statement ni dah betul, cuma dia tak boleh nak apply kepada blood capillaries. Okay, dia tak boleh nak apply kepada blood capillaries because for blood capillary it does not have, it is lacking the two layers of the blood vessels. Blood vessels it composed of ada 3 layer kan, normally, which is the outer layer is tunica adventitia, and then the middle layer is tunica media, then inner layer is the tunica intima. So kalau blood capillaries, it only has tunica intima, which consists of only endothelium that is wrapped with basal lamina. Okay, awak tengok balik awak punya jadual dalam awak punya lecture note tu kan. So central lumen line with endothelium ni boleh apply kepada tiga-tiga blood capillaries sebab ini adalah layer yang tunica intima. Okay, tunica intima ada pada ketiga-tiga blood vessels. Cuma blood capillaries, it does not have tunica media and also tunica adventitia. Blood capillaries, it is really thin. It is only one cell thick, which is only made up of the endothelium layer, one cell thick. Why is it one cell thick? Because it involved in exchange of materials, substances, respiratory gas, nutrients, and then also to remove waste. So dia kena nipis. Nipis tu daripada tunica intima sahaja. Faham
Faham madam.
Okay. So thank you Syamil. Number 9. Dia. Alia.
For number 9, figure 2 shows a normal electrocardiogram. Which of the following statements is correct? Saya pilih B. To only the QRS complex reflects the ventricular depolarization. Saya tak ambil yang satu tu sebab atrial repolarization tu supposed to be depolarization. Dengan yang 3 tu ventricular depolarization tu supposed to be repolarization.
Okay. What do you understand by statement 1? Kenapa awak boleh cakap yang ni statement ni salah ni, supposed to be depolarization? Why?
Sebab
Mawar. Tak apa, pergi kat mawar dulu.
Ah.
Okay, saya explain kat sini, okay, why number one, okay, the P waves reflects repolarization. Kita dah belajar chapter impulse kan, okay, chapter on the generation of action potential. Okay, so action potential, depolarization is the phase where the peaks of an action potential and it causes the transmission axon tu should be able to generate impulse. Tapi this one is referring to the heart. Masa sama lah juga. Okay, sama juga. Okay, so which of the following statement are correct? Kalau P ni, you know that it is the stage where the atrium contract. Okay, in order for the atrium to contract, kena ada impulse. Kan, kena ada the transmission of impulse. Okay, so contraction is impulse, okay, that causes the cell of the cardiac muscle to be positively charged, depolarized. Okay, depolarized. Kalau repolarization, it is relaxed. There's no impulse. Faham And then the QRS complex reflects the ventricular depolarization. Betul lah, ventricular contract. Okay, so this is the stage where ventricle contracts, so has to be depolarized to generate the impulse. Okay, and then T apa? Ventricular diastole, relax. Okay, so T ni adalah dia cakap the T waves reflect ventricular depolarization. Salah lah, depolarize should dia akan contract. Salah, supposed to be relax, which is repolarization. There is no impulse. Faham Yang lain? Ada tak clear untuk soalan ni? Do you understand?
Faham.
Faham okay. Alright, so number 10. Farah Nabila?
Number 10. Which of the following is not correct about lymph nodes? The answer is C. Retrieve iron from hemoglobin degradation. Because A, B and D is related to the lymph nodes. Lymph nodes is numerous in the armpit region, neck and groin, and it becomes swollen and tender during infection because lymphocytes multiply rapidly. So the answer is C.
Okay, boleh lah. Okay, betul. Retrieve iron from hemoglobin degradation. So the lymph, that is not the function of the lymph nodes. Function of lymph nodes yang tadi lah, numerous in armpits region. So it is numerous in armpit region. One of the function of the lymph node is that it is the place where white blood cells will reside. Disimpan dekat situ. Okay, so that's why tadi when you are feeling sick, so the white blood cell will multiply and causing that area to be swollen. Okay, the nodes to be swollen. So that's why that is one of the function of the lymph node, to filter lymph. Okay, so the lymph may contains pathogen. Kan? So as the lymph flows through the lymph nodes, by having many white blood cells in the lymph nodes, so the lymph will get filtered by the presence of the white blood cells. So any pathogen that are found in the lymph will be engulfed, okay, by the macrophage, for example. Okay, and then become swollen and tender ni lah, kan? So swollen and tender due to the replication of white blood cells when the person is being infected by certain virus. Okay, so that is the function of the lymph nodes, to store white blood cell. Okay, the lymphocyte. So when you are fighting an infection, it will multiply and causing that lymph node to be swollen. Okay, so statement A, B and D ni is correct. It explains on the function of the lymph nodes. Retrieve ion from hemoglobin is not the function of lymph nodes. Okay, so thank you, Farah. Hannah, number 11.
Number 11, atrioventricular node. The answer is D. Transmit impulse to the bundle branches because The A act as a primary pacemaker is a sinoatrial node. B speed up the transmission of impulse, is supposed to be slowed down. And C is located in the upper wall of right atrium, is supposed to be on the floor of right atrium. So the correct one is D.
Okay. Okay, so betul lah. Okay, so you explain why each statement is incorrect. Okay, so betul. Okay, so impulse is generated by the pacemaker, which is the SE node. Okay, and then it travels through the wall of the atrium, causing the atrium to contract, and then the impulse will reach the AV node. The AV node, once the impulse reaches the AV node, there will be a slight delay. Tadi tu lah yang cakap slow down tu tadi. Why? Because the purpose of this is to make sure that all the blood in the atrium enters into the ventricle. Itu point yang awak kena ingat Pernah ditanya dulu dalam pas-pas ya, kenapa ada slight delay in the transmission of impulse as it reaches the AV node, to make sure that the atrium finish contracting and all the blood enters into the ventricle. Okay. Okay, so located in the upper wall is sepatutnya that statement is referring to the SE node. For AV node, located at the floor, okay, of the right atrium, okay, in between the right and the left atrium. Okay, so thank you. Tadi siapa? Hana. Number 12, Jasreen.
Question 12. The sound loop produced in the cardiac cycle occurs when both B. Semilunar valve close simultaneously. Saya pangkal A dengan C sebab dia open. D tu betul kalau soalan minta loop.
D, kalau D.
Kalau D tu kalau sound dia yang lagi satu yang loop.
So ini awak kena ingat je lah kot kan, dub and lub ni. Okay, if you refer to your notes, okay, it is in this slide. Okay, the hard sound, the lub and dub. The first sound is lub. Soalan dia tanya pasal dub kan, so dub. So dub, it is created due to the vibration caused by closing the semilunar valve. So semilunar valve closed. Okay, so that creates the dub sound, the vibration of the closing of the semilunar valve. Tapi kalau dub, it is created when the ventricle contracts. Okay, when ventricle contracts, exert a high pressure to the blood in the chambers of the ventricle and causes the blood to recoil to the wall of the AV node, to the closed AV node. So high pressure blood dalam ventricle tu it recoils against the closed AV valve. Okay, AV valve. So that is the lub and the dub sound. Okay, so thank you, Jasreen. The next question, 13, Adif.
Identify the type of blood vessels that show this characteristic. No valve cannot constrict, no muscle tissue and connect arterioles to venules. Jawapan dia D, capillaries.
Okay. Kenapa blood capillaries cannot constrict?
Sebab dia just act as connector untuk arterioles and venules. So there is no need for produce pressure.
Okay, so cannot constrict. If a blood vessels able to constrict, so layer mana yang dia akan ada?
Vein.
Layer. Tunica media, intima, adventitia, which one? Blood vessels dia ada 3 layer kan? Blood vessels ada 3 layer. Outer layer, middle layer and inner layer.
Tunica media.
Tunica media kan. So for a blood vessels to be able to constrict or relax, it has to have the middle layer, the tunica media, which is made up of smooth muscle. Macam saya explain tadi, blood capillary tak ada tunica media, dia tak ada smooth muscle. It only applies for the artery and also vein. Okay, kalau itu sebabnya dia tak boleh nak constrict. It only applies for artery and also vein by having tunica media. Okay, no muscle tissue lah ni kan. No muscle tissues. Dia tak ada smooth muscle. Okay, to allow the capillaries to be able to contract. Fungsi blood capillary is for exchange of material. It has to be really thin. It is only one cell thick, made up of endothelium layer. Okay. So, thank you Adif. Next is Muhammad Amin. 14, please.
For question 14, which of the following does not increase heart rate? The answer is D, parasympathetic nerve, because for A, physical activities increase the amount of blood entering the heart, so the heart rate is increased. For B pula, sympathetic nerves is during physical emotion stress and stimulate SA node and AV node to increase the heart rate. So it's wrong. And for C, the hormones epinephrine is stimulate the SA node to increase the heart rate. So the question is not increased, so the answer is D.
Okay. So which of the following does not increase the heart rate? It is parasympathetic nerves. It is when you are relaxing, you are sitting down, this is to conserve energy, so that is parasympathetic nerves. Tapi when you are feeling excited, you are exercising, for example, your heart needs to beat faster. Okay, your heart needs to beat faster. This is to allow more distribution, more circulation of the blood to provide more oxygen and also fuel for cell to respire. Okay, so itu yang kalau untuk statement A, B and C ni is explaining basically on the sympathetic nerve, which is to increase heart rate, which is to allow the body to gain more energy, okay, to respire more. Boleh? So number 15, Amin juga.
Number 15. Cardiac output and heart rate of a person are 6,000 ml of min and 80 beats minute respectively. Calculate the stroke volume of the person. So we use formula cardiac output equals to stroke volume multiplied by heart rate. Given is cardiac output and heart rate, kita masukkan dalam formula and then kita dapat B, 75 ml over beat.
Okay, so cardiac output sama dengan apa? Stroke volume kan? Stroke volume kali dengan heart rate. Kita nak stroke volume, so sama dengan cardiac output bahagi dengan heart rate. So 6,000 bahagi dengan 80, right? Okay, so you get 75. Betul yang saya buat ni?
Betul.
Okay. Alright. So 16. So thank you tadi. Siapa tadi? Amin. Fakri, number 18. 16.
Okay, for number 16, blood from the upper body, head, neck, and forelimb enter the heart via the answer is D, superior vena cava.
Okay, blood from the upper body, head and neck, and forelimb. Forelimb tu apa? What is forelimb? You ada forelimb, hind limb. So forelimb tu apa? Hind limb tu apa? Forelimb tangan tak? Okay. So oxygen poor blood, okay, coming from the systemic circuit, okay, dia ada dua bahagian, from the upper part of the body and the lower part of the body. So the upper part of the body, which is the head, neck, and also the forelimb, tangan, all the deoxygenated blood from that area will enter back into the heart through the superior vena cava, and enters which chamber of the heart? Superior vena cava. Superior vena cava, and then this is the heart, right? So macam tu lah, lebih kurang. Tak tahu cantik sangat kan. So which chambers? This superior vena cava. So dia akan masuk chamber yang mana of the heart? Fakri? Okay, saya break down lagi. Untuk awak jawab soalan ni, awak nak kena tengok bahagian mana dalam awak punya dalam nota. Which slide can you refer to in order for you to be able to understand on this question? Kat mana yang nak refer tu? Where can we refer to?
On heart circulation.
Okay, heart circulation of blood in this slide. Okay, so basically you have to know all the blood vessels that are involved in the flow of blood and also the chambers of the heart. Chambers of the heart, kita ada right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. If you look at this diagram, the right side of the heart, the right atrium, the right atrium and also the right ventricle is the chamber of the heart that receives oxygen poor blood coming from the systemic circuit. Okay, coming from the systemic circuit. So kalau kita tengok kat sini, this is the superior vena cava, superior vena cava, and this is the inferior vena cava. Okay, so the inferior vena cava will collect oxygen poor blood coming from the lower part of the body. Okay, lower part, which is the abdominal organs and also the hind limb. Okay, hind limbs. Tapi kalau the upper part, head, chest, hands, so all that oxygen poor blood will enter back into the heart through the inferior vena cava bahagian. Superior vena cava. So all this blood will enter into the right atrium. Right atrium and then into the right ventricle, and then the right ventricle will pump out the blood through the pulmonary arteries. Pulmonary artery, walaupun nama dia artery, tapi dia carry oxygen poor blood from the ventricle to the pulmonary circuit, to the lungs. Okay, so artery, it carries away blood from the heart, okay, which is from the left ventricle into the lungs. So dia pergi kat pulmonary circuit, and then from that pulmonary circuit, oxygen will enter into the blood, becomes oxygen rich blood. Sorry, saya tersalah highlight ni, sini, to the pulmonary circuit. Okay, so and then return back as oxygen rich blood, enters back through the heart to the heart, okay, through the pulmonary vein. Walaupun nama dia vein, tapi it carries oxygen rich blood. Okay, oxygen rich blood sebab apa? Vein kat sini, it is referring to the blood vessels that carries blood towards the heart. Okay, towards the heart, from the lung to the heart, carrying oxygen rich blood. Faham ya? So this, it then enters into the left atrium. The left side of the heart, it carries oxygen rich blood. Okay, left atrium and then left ventricle. Left ventricle, its characteristic is that it has thick wall, thick wall, so that when the ventricle contract, it can exert high pressure, so that the blood can enter into the systemic circuit, which is circuit yang lebih panjang. So it has to travel with high blood pressure and also high velocity. Okay, so that's why the ventricle is thick in the in the wall of the left ventricle kat situ. Okay. So faham ya? So this one you have to know the flow of blood throughout the heart and also throughout the blood circulation. Okay. So in the pulmonary circuit and also in the systemic circuit. All the blood vessels ni awak kena ingat. Aorta, pulmonary vein, pulmonary artery, inferior vena cava, superior vena cava, you have to know dari mana ke mana darah tu dia bergerak. Okay. Okay, so thank you Fahrul. Next question is Muhammad. 17.
17. Determine the correct sequence of events in impulse transmission of the heart. First, impulse from the sinatral node is relayed to both atria, causing atrial contraction. Second, atrioventricular node receive the impulse. Third, impulse travel down to the Purkinje fiber. Fourth, ventricular contraction begins at the apex of the heart upwards. I choose D.
D. Kalau kita tengok statement yang last sekali kan, ventricular contraction begins at the apex of the heart upward. Where is the apex of the heart? Apex of the heart kat mana? Kat mana apex?
Kat fifth intercostal space. Betul tak, madam?
Okay, kalau kita tengok heart structure ni kan, kita cari gambar yang lagi cantik lah. Ni. Where is the apex of the heart? Sekejap. Dengan dia lambat nak alih slide. Ni. Where is the apex of the heart? Kat mana?
Dekat left atrium, madam.
Left atrium? Kenapa tak kena contract daripada left atrium? Apex. Apex is the base of the heart. This is the apex of the heart. Ujung jantung ni. Sekejap, dia tak keluar. Tu nampak? Apex of the heart. So statement nombor 3 tu kan, ventricular contraction begins at the apex of the heart upward. Impulse tu kan, impulse kalau tengok the transmission of impulse. Okay. If you refer to this diagram, awak kena tahu the flow of impulse through the cardiac muscle. Kita tahu okay dia pada SA node, spread through the atrium wall, and then reaches the AV node, and then AV bundle, and then bundle branches, turun ke bawah, pergi ke apex. Okay, apex of the heart. Apex of the heart. That is the flow of the impulse. And then from the apex, and then the impulse will move upward through the Purkinje fibers. Purkinje fibers, it spreads the wall of the ventricle. So bergerak, bila ventricle tu contract, so dia akan contract daripada mana? Apex upward. Base of the heart upward. Sebab apa? Kenapa dia tak boleh? Lantaklah pergi je lah daripada mana-mana pun dia contract. Macam tu kan. Kenapa tak boleh? Kenapa daripada atrium ni, kenapa dia tak boleh? Okay, pergi je lah dekat Purkinje fibers kat bawah ni. Kenapa nak kena pergi AV node, pergi ke septum pula, and then pergi ke apex, and then baru naik balik? Kenapa?
Blood flow, madam.
Blood flow ke mana? Ventricle kan? Chambers. Oh, imagine this is the chambers of the heart. Ventricle of the heart. Ventricle. Dia akan contract macam tu kan? Macam dia apa? Ke atas tu. Ke atas. Kenapa? Kenapa dia tak boleh? Macam mana? Macam tu. Kenapa? Kenapa tak boleh daripada ventricle tu contract daripada datangnya impulse tu daripada atrium ke bawah? Kenapa nak kena bawah ke atas?
Sebab dia nak increase pressure ke?
Tapi kalau daripada atas ke bawah tak boleh nak increase pressure. Sebab, tengok where is the location of the major blood vessels that the blood will flow out from the right atrium and also from the left atrium. Kedudukan vessels, tengok kedudukan. Okay. This is right atrium, this is left. Sorry, this is right ventricle, this is left ventricle. Right ventricle dia akan pump darah ke luar jantung melalui pulmonary artery tadi. Pulmonary artery duduknya dekat atas jantung. Sama juga dengan aorta. Aorta duduknya ke atas jantung juga. So that's why the heart will contract from apex upward. So this is for the chambers to pump the blood out of the heart, because all these blood vessels, pulmonary artery and also the aorta ni duduknya dekat atas jantung. So dia akan tolak keluar lah, faham tak? So that's why from apex upward. Boleh? Faham ke?
Faham.
Okay, so apex is the base of the heart. Okay, apex is the base of the heart. Okay, so 18. Siapa? Afifah.
Blood flow velocity is highest in M and lowest in N. Identify M and N from the upper body, head, neck, and for limb enter the heart via the answer is C. Sebab M is obviously artery, sebab artery kena pump blood pergi semua tisu, sebab tu dia kena high velocity.
Okay.
So A dengan B tu boleh cancel out. And then D tu salah because aorta dia bukan transfer blood masuk heart, dia transfer to all parts of the body.
Okay, so betul lah. So dia punya yang paling clue yang paling obvious adalah blood velocity lah. Obviously the artery will allow blood to flow with high velocity sebab darah tu baru keluar daripada jantung kan. So darah yang baru keluar daripada jantung enters into the aorta and then enters into the artery with high velocity. Okay, high velocity. And okay, so boleh lah. So thank you Afifah. Next 19. Alia.
Number 19, which of the following is not correct regarding atrial and ventricular diastole in the cardiac cycle? The answer is A, lasts approximately 0.1 seconds. So it is correct because it is for atrial systole and ventricular diastole. Kalau atrial and ventricular diastole tu dia lasts approximately 0.4 seconds.
0.4 second. So atrial and ventricular systole adalah stage yang keberapa dalam cardiac cycle?
Apa benda tu?
Okay, cardiac cycle ni dia ada berapa stage?
Ada 3.
Okay. Atrial and ventricular diastole stage yang keberapa? Awak cakap 3 tadi kan? So stage yang keberapa? First. Okay. First stage of the cardiac cycle is when atrial and ventricular diastole relax and the duration for this stage is 0.4 second. Cardiac cycle ni berapa total duration dia?
0.8 second.
0.8 second. So stage untuk cardiac cycle ni you have to know kena tahu. In this slide. Okay, sekejap. Dia tak keluar. Just tunggu dia keluar sekejap. Dia dengan Saya punya slide dengan saya punya monitor ni dia lambat sikit. Sekejap. You just refer to your lecture notes sebab dia tak keluar juga. Okay, lecture notes slide 52 kan. So slide 52, the 3 stages of cardiac cycle. Yang first stage adalah atrial and ventricular diastole, 0.4 second. All the 4 chambers of the heart needs to relax. The 2 atrium and the 2 ventricle needs to relax so that all the blood enters in these 4 chambers of the heart. Okay, lepas semua darah dah masuk dalam 4 chambers of the heart, apa yang berlaku seterusnya adalah yang stage yang kedua adalah ventricle relax, still relax, tapi atrium contract. Okay, atrium contract. Put the 2 atrium contract so that all the blood in the atrium enters into the ventricle. Okay, so pada masa ni, you all kena tahu juga valve apa yang buka, valve apa yang tutup. Okay, kalau first stage ni you see that obviously the AV valve has to open sebab darah pada atrium kena masuk ke dalam ventricle. So the AV valve has to open. Tapi the semilunar valve has to close sebab dia nak collect all the blood in the ventricle. Tak boleh nak keluar lagi. So you have to know which chambers which chambers relax and which valve open and close. Sama juga macam stage yang kedua, bila atrium contract, obviously the AV valve needs to remain open. Sama juga dengan semilunar valve ni also needs to remain closed. Okay, so sama juga condition valve tu, tapi yang akan contract only the atrium, so that all the blood in the atrium will be collected in the ventricle. So bila ventricle ni dah penuh dengan darah, baru stage yang ketiga kan. So bila stage yang ketiga, apa yang berlaku? Ventricle contract, which is ventricle systole. So the contraction of the ventricle causes the blood in the ventricle to be pumped out. So obviously the semilunar valve will open. And this time, because to create the high pressure, the AV valve needs to be closed. So, kena tahu apa yang berlaku dekat ketiga-tiga stage. Chamber mana buka, chamber mana tutup, valve mana buka, valve mana tutup. Saya rewind balik, which chamber relax, which chamber and which chambers contract macam tu. Okay, so, kena tahu mana chamber relax and contract, mana valve yang buka, mana valve yang tutup. You have to know all these 3 stages of the cardiac cycle. Okay. So that one, question 19 is A. Okay.
Question 20. What is myocardial infarction? My answer is C. Death of heart muscle tissues caused by a blockage of coronary arteries. I answer this. I choose the option because for A, it refers to angina pectoris, and B, it refers to stroke.
B, supply interrupted. Okay, ini stroke Okay, betul lah. Yang D tu kita tak ada sentuh kan? In our syllabus.
I'm not sure what is that.
Okay, so tak apalah. But anyhow, the question for 20, the answer is C. Okay. So thank you, Aisha, and then Aprilin, 21.
Madam.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about this question 21 because the option is to question 20.
Oh, 21 sama ya.
Tapi question dia lain, madam.
Question dia lain. Dia tanya pasal lymphatic system Which of the following are lymphatic organs? Sekejap saya tengok dalam lecturer version sekejap Oh, dia punya choices of question answers ni dia tersalah salin. Okay, So let me do this one. For 21, it asks which of the following are lymphatic organs. Okay. Bukan saya. Okay. Kita let Aprilin, can you list down all the lymphatic organs that you know? What are the lymphatic organs? Dia ada beberapa, apa dia? Lymph nodes. Lepas tu lagi ada apa? Lymph nodes.
Capillaries.
Capillaries is not organ. Cakap organ. Capillaries is vessel.
Is it tonsil?
Tonsil, and then
Spleen.
spleen. One more.
Thymus gland.
Thymus gland. Okay, so all that is the organ of the lymphatic system. Dalam nota awak, dia listkan 3, thymus gland, tonsil and also spleen. Tapi kalau lymph nodes, I'm not sure if it's also. Tak silap saya dalam kita punya lecture note dia dalam slide ni. Dia bagi juga kat sini, lymph nodes ni. Okay, so anyhow, dia tak keluar lagi, tak apa. Slide 102. Dekat atas tu dia list tonsil, thymus, spleen. Tapi dalam gambar rajah dia juga ada letak lymph nodes. Lagipun dalam slide 98, it also describe lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are small encapsulated organs. So tapi tak apalah. Okay, so yang you must consider kat sini, yang paling kita tumpukan adalah thymus gland, tonsil and also spleen are the lymphatic organs. Okay, so tapi dalam description dalam Opinota also describe lymph nodes as lymphatic organ as well. Okay, so thank you Aprilin. Ishraf 22. Ishraf. Soalan 22. Mic awak tak boleh nak on ke? Okay, so no problem. So the answer by Ishraf, okay, tak apa. Okay, 22, the tricuspid valve prevent the backflow of blood from the right ventricle. You answer, okay, C, right ventricle and to the right atrium. The right side is tricuspid. Kalau the left side, it is what? Tricuspid, is it? Slide mana yang dia bagi tahu? Kat sini. Okay. Right side is tricuspid. Left side it is bicuspid. Okay. The left side is the left side is the left atrium, left ventricle. So between that is bicuspid. Okay, yang ini bicuspid. Ataupun mitral valve. Tapi kalau right atrium, right ventricle, in between that adalah tricuspid valve. Both of these valve is also known as atrioventricular valve. Okay, so thank you, Ishraf. So 23. Farid.
A sharp decrease in velocity of blood flow occurs from, my answer is arterioles to capillaries.
Kenapa berlaku macam tu? Why is there a sharp decrease in the velocity of blood as the blood flows from arterioles into capillaries? Kenapa darah yang mengalir itu daripada aorta kepada artery, kepada arterioles, kepada capillaries, the velocity of the blood that flows in all these vessels decreases. Due to what? The increase of what? Increase in total surface area kan? Total cross-sectional area. Increase in total cross-sectional area. Obviously lah kan, daripada aorta dia bercabang pergi kepada more artery, bercabang lagi pergi ke more arterioles, bercabang lagi pergi ke more blood capillaries in capillary bed. Imagine lah darah tu yang nak kena mengalir in all that many blood vessels. Yeah, so obviously the velocity will be reduced, especially when the blood reaches in the capillary. The blood has to flow with low velocity so that it makes sure that efficient exchange of material will occur. Kalau darah tu mengalir dengan laju, macam mana nak berlaku exchange of materials? Faham tak? Boleh Farid?
Boleh.
Okay. So yang itu awak kena fahamkan graf yang ini. Slide 44 ni. Okay. You have to know how to relate between the total cross-sectional area of all these blood vessels with the velocity of the blood that flows in all these three vessels and also the pressure of the blood that flows in all the blood vessels. So awak duduk baik-baik dekat awak punya meja study nanti, tengok, fahamkan relation between all these three factors. Okay. Ini penting penting untuk awak fahamkan. Kena tahu macam mana nak relatekan ketiga ni. Kenapa jadi graf dia macam ni. Okay. Okay, so 24 Hanif.
Question 24. How is tissue fluid formed at the capillary beds? My answer is B. High blood pressure at the arterial end force water out of capillaries.
Okay, high blood pressure at the atrial end forces water out of the blood capillaries to form what? To form what? Tissue fluid lah ataupun interstitial fluid. Okay, so boleh tak tissue fluid accumulate in the body tissue? Boleh tak tissue fluid ni yang dah keluar daripada salur darah becoming interstitial fluid, can it maintain in the tissue? Apa kesan dia kat situ kalau there is accumulation of tissue fluid? Darah mengalir kan, darah sentiasa mengalir. Okay, daripada artery pergi ke arterioles and then blood capillaries. So due to the high blood pressure, so it causes water in the blood to flow out of the blood capillaries and enter into tissue fluid. So darah sentiasa mengalir. So air akan sentiasa keluar pergi tissue fluid. Apa jadi? Boleh ke tissue fluid accumulate in the tissue? Kita baru cover.
No, we back to the capillaries.
Dia akan flow back dekat end yang mana? Flow back at the excess fluid in the interstitial fluid will enter back into the blood capillaries at the venule end. Okay, venule end. So kalau awak rujuk awak punya slide note ni kan, awak fahamkan ini. Ini pun mesti awak kena fahamkan. Kalau tengok past year punya question ni antara soalan yang suka ditanya lah. Gambar aja jap. This one here. Okay, so you have to know the difference between the blood pressure and the osmotic pressure in the blood and also in the interstitial fluid. You see here at the atrial end, the blood that flows with high blood pressure causing water from the blood to move out. Okay, so So it becomes the interstitial fluid. So the interstitial fluid cannot be remain in the tissue because it can lead to the tissue to be swollen, which is a condition we call it as edema. So this excessive tissue fluid, this excess tissue fluid will enter back into your blood capillaries at the venule end. Venule end, as you can see, the blood pressure is 15, which is lower compared to the osmotic pressure outside in the interstitial fluid. Interstitial fluid, osmotic pressure. Blood is blood pressure. Okay, osmotic pressure outside is, it maintains 22. Okay, maintain 22 at the atrial end sampai ke venule end, maintain 22. So kalau dekat atrial end, blood pressure is 32. 32 is higher than 22. So the air keluar. Tapi at the venule end, osmotic pressure is 22, which is higher than the blood pressure, which is 15. So excess fluid in the interstitial fluid will enter back into the venule end. Itu salah satu cara yang mana excess fluid will return back to your blood circulation. Satu cara dengan cara macam ni. The second mechanism of returning back the excess fluid in the tissue fluid is through the lymphatic system. Okay, into the lymphatic system. So nanti this interstitial fluid that enters into the lymphatic capillaries, kita tak panggil dia sebagai interstitial fluid dah, kita panggil dia sebagai lymph. And this lymph will flow in the lymphatic capillaries, in the lymphatic vessels, and then return back to your blood circulation dekat shoulder area. Okay, so the lymph will flow at the right and left thoracic ducts kan, thoracic ducts kan, kat sebelah tu apa istilah dia? Ini right lymphatic ducts and also left lymphatic ducts ataupun thoracic ducts. So the lymph from this area will enter into your blood circulation bila dia join dengan subclavian veins, right and left subclavian veins. Vein dah masuk dengan aliran darah, so dia akan join to enter back into the heart through the superior vena cava. Faham? Boleh So itu adalah cara-cara macam mana nak elakkan your tissue fluid from being swollen. Okay, satu dia masuk balik dalam aliran darah at the venule end, satu lagi melalui lymphatic system. Okay. So yang itu kena fahamkan lah, right? So thank you. Tadi siapa? Hadif ya?
Yes.
Okay. So fahamkan balik yang tadi. Tissue fluid ni, tissue fluid is also known as interstitial fluid. Okay, terhasil daripada tekanan darah yang tinggi at the venule end. Tapi kena masuk balik dalam apa punya aliran darah. It cannot remain accumulate in your tissue, in your body tissue. Okay, so 25, Muhammad Irfan.
Okay, so for question 25, if a doctor hears two loop sound instead of one, this might be due to? My answer is C, because my answer is C, which is arterial blood is flowing backward and causing the extra sound.
Kenapa jawapan awak C C. Kenapa awak jawab yang itu? Lap.
Sebab the heart sound is consisted of two sound, which is loop and loop. Okay, so for the first sound, which is the loop, it is created due to recoil of the blood against the closed AV valve. So the extra sound is, I think that the extra sound is being produced due to failure in the AV valve.
Okay, kita tengok soalan ni, kita dissect dia satu-satu. Dia kata apa? If a doctor hears two lap sound instead of one, this might be due to okay, lap ni terhasil bila AV valve close and the ventricle contracts, exiting high pressure, and then the blood akan recoil against the wall of the AV valve. Okay, itu lap. Tapi kat sini two lap sound. Okay, kalau kita tengok dekat awak punya jawapan ni, okay, lap, okay, awak kena faham lap terhasil bila ventricle close, every valve close, kan, every valve close, ventricle contract. Ventricle kita ada dua kan, right ventricle and also left ventricle. So, it means that these two ventricle has to contract simultaneously. Every valve has to close also simultaneously, so that when the ventricle contract, it will be pushed, the blood will be pushed out of the heart. Okay, the blood will be pushed out of the heart. So, tapi dalam soalan ni dia cakap ada dua, kedengaran dua lap sound. So, maksudnya statement yang paling tepat kat sini adalah B. Sepatutnya B. Okay. Kenapa B? Sebab dia kita ada dua lap sound. Okay, kita ada dua AV valve. Okay, dua AV valve. Dua ventricle. Okay, so jawapan dia B sebab apa? AV valve are not closing at the same time. Maybe mula the right ventricle yang contract, the AV valve yang close. Lepas tu baru kemudian dia pergi kepada left ventricle, maybe kan. So the two AV valve they did not close pada masa yang sama. So dia tak serentak, maybe macam ni ke, macam tu kan. So okay, so that is the answer B. Okay, so the lap sound due to the AV valve that are not closing at the same time. Okay, macam tu. So the ventricle satu yang contract and then the other ventricle yang contract. So the AV valve close pada masa yang berlainan, macam tu. Okay, so the answer will be B lah. Okay, B. Faham Boleh yang lain kalau tak ada, kalau ada soalan boleh tanya. The next person, Luqman.
So number 26, the function of an artificial pacemaker is similar to the C, sinusoidal network, which is their function is sets the rate and timing of cardiac muscle contraction.
Okay, artificial pacemaker. Pacemaker is where the initial impulse of the cardiac muscle is generated. Is triggered kat situ kan. So jawapan dia adalah C lah kan, pacemaker. Sebab keyword dekat sini pacemaker, the only pacemaker adalah SA nodes. Tapi in this case dia artificial. Okay. So 20. So thank you Luqman. Next Nabil, 27.
Which statement is not correct regarding advantages of a closed circulatory system? My answer is D. The system requires less energy for blood distribution. It's because actually for closed circulatory system, it usually require a lot more energy than the open circulatory system, because our body is more complex and it's more complex to deliver all the blood to the lungs and all the body cell.
Okay. Soalan jawapan awak D Which statement is not correct regarding advantage of a closed circulatory system? Not, dia cakap kat sini not advantage. Sepatutnya itu adalah advantage of closed circulatory system. Sebab apa? The system efficiently regulates the distribution of blood to different organs. Sebab itulah kita sebagai organism yang really aktif, contohnya a human or any mammals kan, or birds or reptiles that are more active compared to insect ataupun mollusk, where they use open circulatory system. The hearts pump the blood into open-ended blood vessels and into body cavity, hemosil kan. So untuk organism ni, because due to their small size kan, dia tak seaktif mammals contohnya kan. So they can rely on the open circulatory system. Tapi Kalau untuk closed circulatory system, benefit dia, kenapa haiwan ni kena ada closed circulatory system, so that the heart can generate high blood pressure, so that the blood that is pumped out by the heart will be distributed efficiently throughout the body. So sepatutnya D ni adalah advantage. Sebab soalan dia tak nak, bukan? Faham tak? Nabil kan tadi? Kan, so jawapan yang sebenarnya adalah, kalau kita tengok kan, the system generate high blood pressure, betul. Okay, sebab the heart pumps the blood into continuous blood vessels. There is separation between blood and also interstitial fluid. Tak ada mixture. So the blood pressure will maintain high. Okay, so the system requires less energy for blood circulation. Salah lah. Yang B ni requires more energy. Kan? The system requires more energy for blood distribution. The heart needs to pump and exert more pressure to the blood so that it is distributed throughout the body. So it requires more energy. Okay. So the answer should be B lah. Okay. So the system enables the effective delivery of oxygen and nutrients. Betul lah, because the blood will be distributed efficiently throughout the body for the exchange of materials such as oxygen and nutrients. Okay, so the answer is B. So thank you Nabil. Aisyah, next 28. Kita cuba habiskan.
For question 28, figure 3 shows a section through a human heart wall, which area is responsible to generate its own excitatory impulses. My answer is B, which is the myocardium.
Okay, myocardium. Okay, myocardium. The heart muscle of the muscle of the heart. Okay, the muscle of the heart, the thick layer tu adalah myocardium, responsible for generating and transmitting impulse. Okay. So kenapa dia cakap kat sini its own excitatory impulse? Kenapa statement dia tulis its own ni? Because what? The contraction of the heart, okay, the impulse generated by the myocardium is not sent from the brain. Bukan instruction from the brain. The muscle, the myocardium itself is able to contract itself. So this is advantageous sebab apa? Sebab for example, bila berlaku trauma pada head, contohnya berlaku accident, terhantuk kepala ke, so orang tu maybe affected the brain, but the heart still can pump. Okay, so that is the advantage of the heart able to produce its own impulse. Okay, it does not depend on the instruction or impulse from the brain. Okay, ada juga haiwan yang mana heart dia is from the instruction of the brain. So that is, kita panggil sebagai, kita tengok nota supaya saya tak silap, tapi dia tak ada dalam apa nota sebenarnya. Satu kita ada myogenic heart. The other one is neurogenic, if I'm not mistaken. Apalah itu nak cari. Neurogenic, tak silap. Itu daripada impulse from the brain. Okay. For some other animals. Okay. So the next question, Dania, 29.
So for 29, which of the following occurs during ventricular systole in a cardiac cycle? My answer is C. Blood is pumped into the aorta. Because for A, B, and D, it occurs during ventricular diastole.
Okay. Ventricular systole. Blood is pumped out into the aorta. Okay, ini daripada ventricle mana ni? Kalau into aorta. Into aorta, blood into aorta is from which ventricle? Right or left? Ventricle kita ada dua kan. So ventricle dua-dua ni akan contract systole. So the blood that is pumped into the aorta coming from which ventricle? Is it the right or the left ventricle?
Left ventricle.
Okay, left ventricle. Kalau right ventricle, blood into the pulmonary artery. Okay, into the lung. Okay, so thank you. Dania 30. Farha.
Which sequence of events regarding impulse transmission in cardiac cycle is correct? My answer is B, because it should start from the SA node.
Soalan dia D, which sequence? Soalan dia betul lah D. Ini macam soalan yang tadi ke? Sama ke lain? Lain. Okay, which sequence of events regarding impulse transmission in cardiac cycle is correct? So the answer will be D. Okay, so kita tengok dia punya sequence. Okay. The impulse from the SA node is related to both atria, causing the atria to contract lah. So SA pergi ke wall of atria, causing the atria to contract, blood to enter into the ventricle. Lepas tu the second step is nombor 3 tu lah, the atrioventricular nodes receive the impulse, tapi nanti dia akan ada slight delay kan, sebab to make sure all the blood in the atrium enter into the ventricle. Lepas tu yang number 1 ni, the impulse travel down the Purkinje fiber, okay, down the Purkinje fiber, and then the last step is the ventricular contraction begins at the apex upward. Macam sama je soalan ni, sama ke? Sama kan? Sama. Okay, so sama soalan tadi. Alright. So thank you. Munira, 31.
Question 31, which is not a cardiovascular disease, CVD? My answer is arthritis, because CVD is related to heart and blood vessels disorder, but arthritis is about inflammation of joints.
Okay, betul. Okay, so betul lah. So thank you. Munira tadi. And then the last question, 32. Sufia.
Figure 4 shows the flow of human chorionic gonadotropin HCG hormone through the major blood vessels of a pregnant woman. What is X, Y, and Z? My answer is D, vena cava, pulmonary vein, and aorta.
Okay, betul. Okay, shows the flow of human HCG through the major blood vessels of a pregnant woman. HCG ni adalah hormon untuk kita detect whether or not a woman is pregnant or not. So the organ producing the HCG is the uterine. Pregnant woman. Sebab dia daripada blastosis kan? Sebab dia daripada blastosis. So uterus lah. Okay. The structure producing the HCG initially it was the blastosis, lepas tu baru placenta. So dia dekat dalam uterus. Okay, so the uterine. So dia akan end up in the urine. So mesti pergi dekat renal artery. So the flow will be from uterine adalah abdominal organ kan. So tadi kita belajar abdominal organ akan masuk balik ke jantung melalui inferior vena cava. So vena cava lah. And then out. And then akan travel through the heart. Keluar melalui heart tu melalui pulmonary vein. And then masuk balik melalui aorta before dia distribute to the systemic circuit and reaches the renal artery. Faham boleh ke? Pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein masuk balik ke heart. Masuk balik ke jantung daripada pulmonary circuit lah kan. Pulmonary circuit. Masuk balik heart pump and then keluar balik melalui aorta pergi kepada systemic circuit. Okay. Sampai dia reach the kidney. Okay, kidney. Melalui renal artery. Boleh faham? Yang lain? Okay, so that's